Have you ever been asking yourself, how can I get better with no ammo to shoot at the range? Well, today we might have a solution for you. I call it dry fire. We're going to talk about things we might need, how we're going to dry fire, and it's going to be a great day. So everybody, let's check it out. Welcome back to another episode of Manny Things, guys. Thank you for checking out the video. I greatly appreciate it. So today, what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about dry fire and why I think everyone should be dry firing. Self-defense oriented shooters, competition shooters, or even the general hobbyist. We're going to talk about dry fire and what we can accomplish with it. So let's get into it, guys. Why am I making this video? Well, I made a video last week about minimum things I think you need to get into USPSA competition shooting. So I mentioned dry fire and why I think that dry fire is so important for you guys is that you're able to test your skills, build new skills, fix old skills that aren't really effective anymore in dry fire without costing you any ammunition at all. Now, how is that beneficial, you may ask? Well, you save money. Ammo is very hard to come by, or you have to be in the right place at the right time to find it. So to eliminate that, we have dry fire. Dry fire comes in many different forms. First dry fire I ever came to was having my firearm and pointing at a sight or a piece of paper, a tape, or a light switch maybe, and having a smooth, complete trigger press. First off, you'll see Glock 17 is unloaded, nothing in the mag, nothing in the chamber. Gonna pull the trigger. So anyway, what I'm talking about this though, guys, is that we're going to take the gun, we're going to present out, and we're going to try to keep our sights aligned perfectly and make one trigger press straight to the rear. Trying not to move the gun. That's what I'd call like a slow trigger manipulation. Something that I really like, even for any person, is trigger control at speed from Ben Steger in Dryfire Reloaded. I'm going to link to that book down below. You can get it on Amazon. No way affiliated with Ben or on Amazon, just that's a book I bought when I started dry firing. And I think that book is really a lot for competition shooters, but some of the drills are really good for being good at self-defense and manipulating your gun. Because really in USPSA, for the basic couple lower level classifications, you need to be really good at gun manipulation. Gun manipulating is having a firm grip, pulling the trigger smoothly to the rear, and things like that. So take our press out and we'll go bang. Get a slow, nice trigger press all the way through, no stopping, no stacking, no staggering. But trigger press's speed is, we'll take the timer, and on the timer we're going to just go fast as we can through the trigger. Simple as that. And what that's trying to show you is how, if your relation to your front rear sight, if you're using irons or your dot, is if it moves or not. Now, then that'll say your grip's not good enough, so then you can go and work on your grip. Because grip is like 1/3 of the equation on shooting a pistol, because it's grip, sights, and trigger. So if you have a good grip and a good sighting, you can know if you didn't hit that target because you had a bad trigger press. So there's that. I really like that drill from Ben Steger's book. My buddy Joel from Applied Performance did a great video talking about that kind of stuff. So I actually put a card up here over in the corner for Joel's video about trigger control at speed. One of the things what I first started doing when I got into dry fire was I just put masking tape on some walls and aiming at those precise points and then transitioning the gun and pulling the trigger smoothly to the rear. Like most new people, when they get into dry fire, they'll rack the gun every time, like on a Glock, because most people I know use Glocks. But you know, the trigger's pinned to the rear like so. And with that, you know, you only get one true trigger press. I've seen and I've tried the zip tie in the gun or the piece of cardboard, holding the gun slightly out of battery, and you'll get that fake anemic trigger. That's not really realistic. I've done that before. What I typically do now is that I will present the gun, get my sights on target, pull the trigger, and then I will mash against the dead trigger to simulate a trigger press, because I know how far my trigger finger has to come off the gun to let the trigger reset. So I work on that, and if I keep my sights with a good grip, keep my sights on target, and I'm smashing against the dead trigger, it's a lot more movement in that slapping that dead trigger than if I was airing at nothing. So I find that to be very helpful. It shows me my grip efficiencies and deficiencies. Another thing I like to use are these dry fire targets I get from the Ben Steger Pro Shop. Like I said, no affiliation to Ben or the Ben Steger Pro Shop either. I just purchase products that I enjoy and I like. These are the classic IPSC style and the USPSA style targets. You can set them up. I like the humanoid because it's got the different scoring zones for USPSA. I mean, defensive shooters, you can use these too. These are scaled. These are a 1/3 size of the target, and you put them at certain distances to make them accurate to, say, the distance you want. So say you want a 7-yard target, you put this thing out 7 feet. Boom, you got a 7-yard target. Or you put it even closer, like half the distance. You're able to put, if you had a 1/6 size target, you put it at 3 feet or 3.5 feet, you'll get 7 yards. So that's really cool, guys. I like these targets a lot. They're pretty cheap. They're just cardboard laser etched for the scoring zones. I really like them. Super cheap. Go check them out. Ben Steger Pro Shop. Now, another thing I also talked about was having a way to test yourself, and that's with time. So being efficient with your time is really important, and I recommend using a timer. The timer I've been using is the Commander Timer by AMG Labs. It's a fantastic timer. I've just gotten it, so I'm still testing it out, working with the timer. It's really cool. It's kind of pricey, guys, but I think it's worth it because it's super small form factor. They even make a Shooter's Toolbox makes a clip, and that's coming for mine, but a clip that goes onto your belt, and you're able to look at it and keep it secure on your belt while you're running around on the range or in your basement doing your dry fire. So that's really cool. You can get the Pocket Pro 2, which I recommend. I do not recommend the pack timer because you can't really change the volume on those. So if you're dry firing at night or you don't want your spouse to hear all the beeps and the annoying noises, it's not very well. You have to cover it with a cotton ball, and I think that's a terrible design. It might be cool for you to have a timer that a lot of the tactical guys use, but I don't care for it because it's not very effective for competition shooting, guys. So I don't like the pack timer. I recommend the Commander Timer. There's a little bit of a lead weight on it, but I still think it's a very good product for you to check out. Now, guys, we're going to go over a little bit of stuff that I like to do. I'm going to demo some of the stuff I was talking about, like trigger control at speed, like with it behind the gun, so we can see how that works. And I think you'll really enjoy that because you'll see my dot moving or not moving and whatnot. It'll be a little odd because it'll be like me looking through the sights through the camera, but I think it'll be advantageous for you guys. And then maybe we'll go over some other dry fire drills that I like to do, prepare me for competition and whatnot. And I really think, guys, besides the context of what you're doing, is the only thing different between dry fire. If it's self-defense or competition-based, yeah, competition, we're working on doing the game. So, you're working on transitions and leaving positions, but it all really correlates back to self-defense. Like if you're moving from cover to, or out in the open to behind cover or vice versa, you need to be thinking about these situations. Dry fire is just a test of your skills of manipulating the gun. If you can myelinate and get the idiosyncrasies down of working the gun, it makes your processing power go so much more to what's actually going on around you, other than how to function your firearm, as like pulling the trigger or manipulating the slide or reloading the gun. If you make that second nature or subconscious skill, like I like to call it, you can then worry about a lot other things other than what's the gun going off. You can worry about the adversary you may have in self-defense, or you're more worried. You don't have to think. You can think more about what's next in the stage instead of, oh, I need to reload the gun and I need to look at the mag well. No, it should just be subconscious, and you go and you do the motions and it gets done. You do the task. It makes it a whole lot easier. So let's go. We're going to go down and we're going to look at some dry fire drills I like to do. All right, guys. So I'm going to show you some awesome things I like to do in dry fire. I mix it up a little bit, do some cool things tonight. We're going to be using the AMG Lab Commander Timer. I love this thing. It's awesome. A bunch of different presets on it you can set, so you don't have to keep cycling through how to change a bunch of stuff. But the short version is part time, I think, is 0.75. It's usually what I do for a draw. So when that second beep goes off, necessarily won't mean anything for the drill. Just too lazy to change the preset. Start with trigger control at speed. I'm going to take my gun. Mag with a mag cap. Dummy weighted dummy rounds in here. Can't get into the chamber. See, super safe, nothing in the chamber. Cool. Alright, so as we're going to point the gun, I'm going to observe the dot or the irons, and when the timer goes off, my finger's off, directly put my finger on, rip through that trigger. What's it going to show us? It's going to show us if your sights are moving, and depending on the target distance, if it's acceptable movement in the sights. The goal is no movement or very, very little, like a dot. I mean, yes, you can do it without dot movement, but very, very little dot movement is fine with a red dot. But irons, you really want to make sure they stay as still as possible. Go again. no movement. So that's something to work on. Trigger control speed from Ben Steger. Another drill I like to do is with transitions. Transitioning the gun from target to target. Take our gun out, target A over here, target B over here. So we're going to take it. We're going to try to get those eyes in front of the gun. Now, what does that mean? I'm trying to say. You see your target in your sights, boom, target, and then move the eyes, and then come with the gun. Super kind of simple-esque, but it's very good because if you get your eyes in front of the sights, you can transition more accurately and more precisely to target. So that's what I like to do. You don't need to be working on the holster. You can do it from the low ready or from the up ready, the up position. Just being mindful. Anyone can do it, and I think target transitions for anyone self-defense or competition-based. You know, we do transitions in competition, but if you're a self-defense shooter doing transitions, maybe there's 2 assailants on you, and you need to train. You've dealt with the first guy, and you need to deal with the second guy. That's all I'm gonna say. Transitions. I like to work reloads, but I need to work on reloads for competition use. So doing a reload, I like to do it off of the trigger press and the beep. So I'll do the beep, hit the timer as the start signal to then break the trigger, go for a reload, and re-engaging it back on target. Not necessarily trying to go for that second pull, but getting back on target before the part time ends. I like to do that just for the pure purpose of getting a good trigger press and not having a sloppy, crappy trigger press initiating the reload. So I got the idea of initiating the reload off from Rob Epifania. I'll put a card up here for him. Well, it'll be over here. But anyway, for Rob Epifania, he's a Dryfire guru. He's a production master in this PSA. So great drills. Reloads are big, but it all depends on what you're running from. If you're running from an open rig, an open competition rig, or whatnot. Bunch of different stuff to look at, guys. So honestly, there's a bunch of drills I like to do. We'll run through some of them and you can watch.